Good evening. I want to welcome you and call to order this meeting of the Floresville ISD Board of Trustees for this date, March the 6th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present. Myself, Joel Odom, Ms. Lina Martinez, Mr. Jason Zavoda, Ms. Bonner Reed, Mr. Stephen Shadrock, Mr. Marshall Fleer, and Mr. Craig Moots. Furthermore, let the record show that this meeting has been duly posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. And Mr. Moots will now lead us in prayer, followed by Mr. Shadrock will read the pledges.
Our Heavenly Father, we are gathered together as we want what's best for our students. We are all equally concerned for our school community as we are the parents and neighbors. As you are our only begotten Son is known as the Prince of Peace. So we ask for your peace. We ask for your guidance and wisdom. Help us engage in meaningful discussion. May we be the example of maturity to our children and this school district as we work together for solutions. After we conclude our meeting here, may we each arrive back to our home safely. We ask this in the name of Jesus, the one who unites us through his love. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Mr. Voda will now recite our FISD vision and mission statement.
The FISD vision statement is character, knowledge, confidence. Our mission statement is FISD is committed to development of innovative, lifelong learners who possess character traits to achieve personal and professional success.
I will now recite our FISD goals. The FISD goals are excellent student outcomes, superior workplace environment, exceptional customer service and community engagement, and strategic resource management. Now we will recite our FISD core beliefs. In FISD, we believe all students feel safe and supported in a developmentally and academically challenging environment.
Families are welcome partners in their children's education.
Faculty and staff are compassionate, dedicated, adaptable individuals who are student-centered.
Campus leadership is fair, equitable, and clearly communicates and engages with stakeholders.
Superintendent and central administration lead with integrity and clear communication to provide a well-resourced educational environment.
Trustees provide student-centered and fiscally responsible leadership and transparent and ethical support of all stakeholders.
Now Ms. Reed will now recite our overview of good governance and code of ethics.
Each month, we highlight one of our good governance indicators and a code of ethics that the FISD Board of Trustees follow to promote the best interests of the district as a whole. This month, the code of ethics we are highlighting is trustworthiness in stewardship. I will be accountable to the public by representing district policy, programs, priority, and progress accurately. I will be responsive to the community by seeking its involvement in the district affairs and by communicating to the priorities and concerns. I will work to ensure accountability and use of district resources. I will make no personal promises or take private actions that may compromise my performance or my responsibilities. Our good governance indicator for the month is board actions reinforce the central importance of board adopted goals and the day-to-day work of the district.
Now we have some recognitions for Floresville ISD's students and Teacher of the Month, Dr. Gilstrap.
Yes, I want to call up Holden Barrett, our principal at the middle school, and he's here to recognize 2 students and Teacher of the Month from the middle school. All those, come on up. There you go. Mr. Johns. Mr. Johns.
Good evening, School Board, President Odom, Dr. Gilstrap, Superintendent of Schools. It's my pleasure this evening to recognize two outstanding students from Floresville Middle School. Selecting only two students to represent our school at the meeting tonight, it's not an easy feat. Floresville Middle School is packed full of excellent students. These particular students were actually chosen by teachers, administrators, and counseling staff, and there was a criteria that's sent out that they have to meet. That criteria is based on the following areas: academic performance, positive behavior, and most importantly, character. These students who we decided to choose for this month, they represent everything that we want for every one of our students to walk through Floresville Middle School. They're excellent students with excellent work ethic, and those are the characteristics that we really focus on, is primarily their character, their work ethic, honesty, and integrity. Our first student of the month is Dustin Hoke. Dustin has maintained excellent grades, works hard in all of his classes, and displays excellent character daily. Dustin is looking forward to taking sports med classes at high school and may potentially want to pursue a career in physical therapy. I had the pleasure of having a conversation in my office with Mr. Hoke over here for a little while before we came out to the board meeting. And one thing that I really want to communicate, I don't want to get too much into all of his business, but this kid's overcome some stuff. And he's worked really hard to get where he's at, and this kid shows excellent work ethic. I'm not sure if this award goes to the student or the parents, but parents, this is an excellent kid. You raised an excellent kid. Great kid, and we are very appreciative to have him on our campus. Our next student is going to be Miss Claire Pullen, who's involved in just about everything on campus. Claire participates in several extracurricular activities on campus, which includes she is the NJHS president. She participates in various sports. She's a cheer captain, student council historian, and takes all advanced classes. Outside of school, she also plays soccer, and Claire plans to pursue all of these same pursuits when she's in high school. In addition to that, she has plans for after high school. She's going to graduate, obtain a master's degree, and eventually become an architect. That was actually another career that she gave me after our conversation as well. Claire, again, great kid. I'm very proud to be able to present these two kids. These two kids are just amazing, phenomenal. They make my day better when I see them in the hallway. They're always cheerful, always saying hi, and just building up the culture that we have there at the school. Very appreciative of these two kids. Parents, you've done an excellent job raising these two, and we appreciate you letting us have them on our campus. So those will be our two students of the month.
Claire and Dustin, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of effort in the classroom, outside the classroom, to have your students notice the character, the outstanding character that you exhibit day in and day out. It says a lot about you. Claire, remember you participating in that Floresville Learning Experience here last year, and I really admired the way that you were able to give insight and provide feedback, not just among your peers, but among administrators and teachers. And Dustin, to have that outstanding work ethic says a lot about you and your character, your determination. So it's really great to see you both here today. We're very proud of you. Congratulations, and we look forward to hearing more about your achievements.
All right, in addition to our two students of the month that we had the privilege of presenting tonight, we also have our teacher of the month. Our teacher of the month that I'm pleased to announce is Mr. Johns. If you've met him before, he worked at South Elementary prior to coming over to middle school. We were very thankful to steal him from South Elementary. Mr. Johns has several classes that I've been into. I've personally observed his classes on multiple occasions. When you walk into his class, you can just tell that there's a different environment. There's an upbeat, positive environment. He can be seen reading to his students as soon as they enter the classroom, and he's always circulating around, and I just hear good job probably about 100 times when I'm in his classroom. Mr. Johns goes out of his way every morning to come to the cafeteria. He'll come to the cafeteria and he's walking around greeting students, telling students to have a good day, and building up students. In fact, Mr. Johns is one of the people, if I'm kind of feeling down that day, I'm going to walk by his classroom. Because Mr. Johns just picks us up. That's what he adds to our school. Mr. Johns, immediately when he stepped foot on campus, impacted our climate, impacted our culture. He's just a positive, good person to be around. I'm very thankful to have him on my staff. Can't say it enough. At Floresville, we have some of the best students, best teachers, best faculty across the board. Very appreciative of Mr. Johns.
Mr. Johns, I remember the first year that you came to Floresville. You and Mrs. Johns, and y'all were both very enthusiastic. I remember your excitement. It was a joy to be in your class and see everything that you're doing. You were very excited about learning and about teaching our students. I remember you had a big obsession with the science. So I know that South was very disappointed to lose you, and it's really special to see that, 20 years later, you're still inspiring and motivating our students. We appreciate you. Thank you. Congratulations.
This is the part I'm more worried about, trying to get this.
You got it. I'll just get on my toes again. Oh, I got it. My toes.
Parents, you are more than welcome to get there in the middle. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, shake the board member Sam. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Jones, congratulations. I'll tell the kids so they can yell at you when you're walking over.
Congratulations.
All your work. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be out.
We will now recognize the PCAT Bus Driver of the Year, Mr. Schroller.
Well, I get the fortune of recognizing this honorary that has a job every day of getting these fabulous students to and from school every day. And so that is Mr. Bailey here. With that said, good evening, School Board President, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent of Schools. Standing with me this evening is our Transportation Director, Mary Aaron, agent representing Lavernia Insurance Agency and Property Casualty Alliance of Texas, Craig Pruski, and our honoree tonight. If you want to go ahead and say who you are? Mr. Bailey, and we'll talk a little more about him in a little bit. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Aaron.
Thank you for having us this evening. This year, Floresville ISD nominated the 9th School Bus Driver of the Year. With that being said, Mr. Henry Bailey, he was nominated unanimously by his peers. He's not aware who has nominated him because it's a surprise, but we are thankful that they did. Henry joined us as a bus driver in August of 2020. Prior to that, he was a licensed plumber. I can't tell you how lucky we were to get Mr. Bailey on staff. He was one of those gentlemen that when he walked into your office, you knew you were never going to let him go. He, in a very difficult time, especially here at Floresville, when we have such short staff, we're unable to get bus drivers. Henry is one of those that's hard to come by, and I will not let him leave my office. I often tell my drivers that when they come there, that the only way they can leave is if they get a divorce. And so if those of you have been through one of those, you know how painful it truly is. Henry has a can-do attitude. There is not a day that goes by that he does not tell us no. He comes in the office, he's the first one there at 4:30 in the morning, unlocking gates. He's also one that you'll see on a route. For those of you that are in athletics, he's on almost every extracurricular event that we have. Henry is a very hard worker. He's very driven. He's everywhere. For those of you from South Elementary, you'll see him in the cafeteria. For those of you that pass through the high school security guard shack, you will see Henry pulling duty there to assist the FISD police. With that being said, Henry, thank you for everything you do for Floresville and for the transportation department. At this time, I'd like to say that you are being awarded as the PCAT 2022-23 District School Bus Driver of the Year.
Board, we got one more surprise for Mr. Bailey. We're just getting ramped up. The Property Casualty Alliance of Texas currently partners with 187 local school districts, and PCAT this year alone had well over 1,000 applicants for this award. After one bus driver is selected at each participating PCAT member district, PCAT would continue its search, recognizing and giving out regional and state bus driver awards. These awards are based on multiple driver attributes, including leadership, attitude, perseverance, student and parent relationships, and technical skill. Mr. Bailey was a recipient of the regional PCAT Bus Driver of the Year. From that group, a single one statewide Bus Driver of the Year is honored. This designation represents the highest level of dedication and accomplishment. Again, with well over 1,000 nominees, and this award being a first ever for Floresville ISD Transportation, it is truly my pleasure to announce Mr. Henry Bailey of Floresville ISD as the 2022-2023 PCAT Single Statewide Bus Driver of the Year. To show appreciation for being a relied on and safe driver who is committed to students, we have a 20-ounce Yeti tumbler, a tote, 2 plaques that he can display at home, and another plaque to be displayed at the Floresville ISD Transportation Department. Last but not least, PCAT would like to present this check I have in my hands for $1,000 to Mr. Bailey. Congratulations, Mr. Bailey. He truly is our state champion. Yes. Might need help with all this stuff, Mr. Bailey. All righty. And so if we want to take some pictures, we can. Your tumblers. Community, please join me one more. This is rare.
Mr. Bailey, I'd like to congratulate you on such an honor as the first recipient of an award like that. Definitely speaks to your level of expertise, the professionalism, and your dedication. We all know as parents, your patience has got to be pretty high to drive a bus of multiple age kids with multiple personalities and high energy. So we thank you for that. We don't take it for granted of what you do to pick up the kids safely and to return them home every day safely. We really appreciate that. It speaks to your dedication to stand in other capacities within the school district. I had no idea, but thank you for your level of commitment for our school. Thank you, sir.
Y'all come over here, we'll take some pictures with the board real quick. Mike's ready to take the
That's what you change.
He wants a tumbler.
See everybody?
Don't make it look short.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, you shake the board's hand. Bailey, I appreciate you very much for your dedication. Thank you. If you want to shake the board's hand, I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your commitment. We appreciate it every day, every day. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's awesome. That's great.
Thank you so much.
In your area. More good education.
Thank you so much. I'm thinking forward to you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
He said he'll do it. I like that. See my name
Bigger wallet.
Our last recognition of the evening is the HEB Excellence in Education Principal Award finalist. Dr. Gilstrap?
Yes, if Ms. Brooks would please come up so we can recognize you. So Ms. Brooks, if you do not know yet, Ms. Brooks was recognized a couple of weeks ago. She was announced as a finalist for the HEB Excellence in Education Award. This is a huge honor. I've been a part of education for 25 years, 25 plus years. HEB is a great partner with public education, and they really do a great job of recognizing teachers and administrators and how they can make an impact on kids across the state of Texas. And part of that recognition is every year they have applications for recognition as Educator of the Year or Education Excellence. They do it for teachers and administrators, and I'm not sure how many applications they received, but they've selected 5 finalists from across the state of Texas. And so Ms. Brooks has been announced as one of those finalists. This is the first time that I've been associated with any campus or district that actually has received any type of HEB recognition, but I've always heard great things about it. And so we really want to take an opportunity to kind of brag on her and recognize her for her hard work. They will announce the state winner at a later date, I believe in April. Is that right? So in April, I do not have the big check, but HEB did show up and gave her a big check. They also gave a check to the school district and campus as well for that recognition, and it was a $1,000 check for being a finalist. If she is named as the winner of that competition, she will get a check personally for $10,000, and the school district campus will get one for $25,000. So it pays off whenever they make an impact, and they really want to recognize what that is. So, Ms. Brooks, we just want to say thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for being a leader, not only in Floresville ISD, but for the state of Texas. And we do appreciate it.
No, it's fine. No. Yeah, that's all right. Come on over, Ms. Brooks. Can you see everybody?
Yeah.
All right. If you want to shake everybody's hand. Thank you always. Congratulations.
That's awesome news. I've been meaning to talk to you. That's
Yes,
awesome.
we're proud of you.
You're a blessing.
Rock needs more money. You gotta get
Yeah, it's true.
Didn't know that.
Dismiss everybody.
All right, we just finished the fun part of our meeting, but if you'd like to stay for the more boring, I'm sorry, not boring, but the more exciting part of the meeting, even more exciting, you may stay, but if not, you're free to leave. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Congratulations.
I got a purpose.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. So proud of you, sir. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. And I'm down here.
I know. You make me so proud. Take care. See you soon.
See you, bud. You'll be good.
Okay.
Ms. Petrie, do we have any public comments? All right. We will now move on to reports and updates. Dr. Gilstrap will start us off with the superintendent report.
Yes, board members, included in your packet is a superintendent report. To say the least, the spring semester is moving quite quickly. We're coming up on spring break next week. There's several events and activities coming up, and our students will be participating in these events and celebrations as we recognize it's another successful school year. So some of those are performances, choir concerts, and things like that. Others are recognitions and celebrations, banquets at the end of the year. These are great opportunities for you as board members and our community to get out and support our students and our staff for the many things that they do throughout the year. Included in your packet is a list of those events. It should be included in your packet. If not, we will get that emailed to you. That's just a start to the many things that are coming up. Certain items I believe they're in blue or they're colored a different color. If you are available and you'd like to attend those, please let us know in advance so that we can coordinate that with those sponsors of those activities. So if you can just let either Alyssa or myself know, we can pass along the word to let them know that you're going to be there. Two items have come up in conversations with staff as we seek their input to improve our benefits of what we offer. We'll begin looking at sick bank and bereavement policies for board consideration. So those are two things that have come up whenever we're talking to staff. Sometimes there's a need for it due to illnesses, due to certain circumstances that come up in families and our staff that require them to utilize all of their days, and we want to potentially develop a policy or a program to meet some of those needs. The Benefits Committee, consisting of staff members, will review any policy prior to recommendation to the board. So both of these could be coming to the board prior to next school year for board consideration, but we will work with the policy committee to develop some of those details. Another item that we're looking into is development of a student random drug testing program. The purpose of the program would be to encourage students to say no to any of these types of activities. There's many steps and details that we have to work out as a part of that process. Ultimately, it will require board approval before we do anything with it, but we're going to be looking into those programs and what it potentially could take, and we would seek outside input from our community prior to making any recommendations. The School Safety Center conducted an intruder detection audit on campus, or on a campus, on Monday, February 13th. The audit concluded with one finding. Details regarding the finding are not available publicly due to security concerns, but we will provide the board and our Safety and Security Committee with details in executive session. We have completed all required corrective actions, including staff trainings, and will notify the Texas School Safety Center as required once all of that is complete. Thus far, we've had 3 audits of our campuses, and only one finding has been found. So this past month, I had an opportunity to visit the Capitol and meet with our representatives in the state and the Senate, multiple representatives, not just ours. The legislative session is now beginning the committee hearing process, which is very important. They are now past the point of, I think it's later this week is the last day to file new bills, so now they're starting to hear those in committees. Details regarding funding and findings are not available, details regarding anything that they're going to do and take action on is still up in the air. So those sessions are still being sought. A lot of talk about revenue and funding for public schools. A lot of talk about voucher systems, education allotments, all those types of security. All those things are being discussed at the state level. But we will not know anything definitive until at the earliest May, whenever the session concludes. And there could be a summer session going beyond that. We will see what happens. Legislative updates will be provided. They have been, I've sent a few of those out during my weekly updates, and we'll continue to send those out as they become available. They can get quite lengthy, and one of the things that I've already talked about in meetings, talking to the board, make sure we don't get caught up in all the bills that are written, because the number of the thousands of bills that are written and submitted, only a few of those will even get a hearing, and even fewer become laws. And so sometimes people write bills knowing that they're not going to go anywhere, but they do that to try to stir up emotion and feelings and conversation, and sometimes that's not what their true intention is. So we need to pay attention to all the bills that affect Floresville ISD and public education, and we'll continue to advocate for the school district and how those things may affect those. Building a relationship with those state representatives really creates, hopefully, a line of communication so that if they have questions or concerns and want our feedback, we want to be able to provide that directly to them on how it could affect our community and our school district. Progress continues to be made to reopening our Floresville Early Childhood Center. So this evening we will have a recommendation to fill the principal's position, and that will be coming up later in the agenda. This is a major step in our process. So renovations are moving forward with painting and flooring well underway, and you will soon see more information coming out about our ECC's early registrations. We're going to start pushing out information on social media to really get our community involved and get that enrollment up here at Early Childhood Center. On Wednesday, March the 22nd, we will have, that's after spring break, we will have our second of 3 long-range planning committee meetings. We do have a facilitator coming in. Again, this is a group of approximately 40 community members, parents, board members, staff, and students. Actually, one of our students was here this evening who's in that committee. They are a part of this discussion regarding facilities, and we are beginning to think about what we might want to move forward in the programs that we offer. So that's kind of the next step. We've already talked about what our history of facilities, where we are currently. Now we're going to start looking at where do we want to go in the future, particularly with regard to programs. And then finally, we'll consider what are options out there to try to address those needs. And then come to the board in May with a report and an update summary of what they kind of found, and if they feel like we need to explore anything else moving forward. The senior cabinet is scheduling We're Listening meetings. Those are meetings set up on each campus throughout the spring semester. We'll do 2 meetings at each elementary, and then we'll do a meeting at the high school and middle school. Those are opportunities for staff to give us some feedback, bring any thoughts, concerns that they have to those meetings. We can also, as a senior cabinet, give them some direct information. It could be regarding the opening of this building. It could be upcoming budget development. It could be legislation. It could be our sick bank committees and other benefits that we want to try to offer. We want to try to make sure we have that line of communication directly with our staff. We also have some upcoming dates as is included in your packet. Just a reminder, we do have spring break next week. We will have our Safety and Security Committee meeting on Wednesday, March the 29th. And then we have our regular meeting scheduled for April the 3rd. Next agenda, we'll have a security update. We will have teacher contracts and student device refresh purchases, which is another item, agenda item over $50,000. We've already done one batch, but there is a need for some others. As always, I encourage each board member to schedule a time to meet with me on a regular basis to address any questions or concerns. Anyone have any questions? All right.
Thank you, Dr. Gilstrap. Mrs. Knight will now report on blended learning.
Thank you, President Odom, Dr. Gilstrap, and the board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to give you an update on our blended learning program. So I want to start with where we're at in the program. We are currently in our final year of the TEA Blended Learning Grant. It was a 3-year grant, and this is our final year of that. It overlapped with our Raise Your Hand Texas Raising Blended Learner Grant, and we're currently in our 2nd year of that grant. We are currently implementing, we're targeting reading instruction in grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Next year, we'll extend to kinder and 5th to finish out the elementaries, and 12 to finish out at the high school. We do have other contents at every campus. I think I've got a math class, at least one math classroom at every campus that's also starting to implement. And we're starting to see more blended learning strategies being implemented in classrooms because it aligns so nicely with our new FISD learning framework that we created. So we're being very consistent in our learning strategies. One of the things we did at the beginning of this year was we realized that we needed to make people, the community, teachers, parents, aware of the program and have some common language and really promote it. And so we worked with our communications office to create an overview video to highlight our blended learning program.
Floresville ISD is committed to transforming the educational process to best meet the needs of our students and their future through FISD Explore blended learning.
I believe that they are achieving higher than they have before. Making student-centered lessons and making students, helping them to learn to be accountable is giving them more intrinsic motivation to grow and what they're learning as well.
Blended learning gives students opportunities to track their progress and exercise choice and ownership in learning that is targeted to their individual needs.
At first I was like struggling and I didn't have very good grades, but then since I set my goal, it was like more like, it helped me like reach it.
Blended learning combines the best of traditional face-to-face classroom teaching with online learning.
Our teachers are looking at a variety of things such as student work, progress, as well as test scores to create a unique learning experience for each student. They then use technology to enhance the learning experience to create more time for one-on-one and small group instruction. This also gives students the freedom to work at their own pace on work that is specifically designed for their needs. Blended learning helps students learn in the way that is best for them.
Because we know that reading proficiency is the foundation to academic success, blended learning was implemented initially in reading language arts classrooms.
We can do Amplify Skill Game or Skill 4. And then on the green one, we get to do Kids A to Z and free reading.
With grants from the Texas Education Agency and Raise Your Hand Texas, FISD was able to begin piloting blended learning in 2020 as a way to meet the needs of all learners.
During the strategic planning process, students, parents, teachers, and community members indicated a need for choice and personalization in student learning, which are the cornerstones of student-centered instruction. Having 100% of our teachers using a student-centered instructional model is a goal of the FISD strategic plan. Blended learning is helping us reach that goal. We are excited to expand blended learning throughout the district.
I think that the kids really understand, they have a much better knowledge of where they are with specific skills. They know what their strengths are, they know what their weaknesses are. So it is helping to develop a bit of student agency and ownership in their work. I really have seen that, especially lately. I know that yesterday in PLC we talked about the fact that even during remediations for CFAs, we're pulling fewer students, which is proof that it is working. They're really getting better at certain skills and realizing, okay, I really need to work on this skill and improve, and they indeed are.
Through FISD Explore blended learning, FISD students are setting learning goals, tracking their learning progress, and understanding what they are learning and why it is important to their overall learning success.
One for one story and another one for the other story. He let us choose between which one we had to do instead of doing both of them. So we didn't have like too much on our mind to process and we get to like understand it better. I thought it was pretty cool because I haven't had teachers that did that. And last year I didn't have like very good grades in ELAR and now I have a really high grade.
What I've seen is a lot of students who are blossoming and who I've recommended for advanced classes because this kind of learning model has allowed them to flourish. And I'm like, well, you've done so well this year. You're doing great. You're always on the extension. You're always practicing. You're always doing well. And I'm like, I think you should be in advanced courses. And they're like, well, I never considered that before. And we just recently had that conversation, and some of them were like, well, I'm going to take advanced ELAR next year because this model has allowed them to find that place here.
FISD Explore Blended Learning. Experience personalized learning opportunities to reach excellence.
So we've shared this video on our website as well as through the district quick notes that's gone out and on social media, all in an effort to tell our story and have not only our parents and students but also our faculty and staff know the work we're doing. We've had a really busy year already. In October, we had the privilege of hosting a showcase visit. It is a requirement of the grant. And so we had representatives from the Charles Butt Foundation, which is our funding source through the grant, and CA Group, which is our consultants that are guiding us through the implementation practice. And then we had representatives from 5 different districts as far away as Arlington, Venus, which is up by Dallas, East Central. So it was a great opportunity to showcase what we were doing both at Floresville, and we focused on North Elementary for the elementary grades and the middle school for the middle school. That visit included classroom visits and teacher panels at both campuses, so they got to see classroom instruction and then had an opportunity to visit with the teachers. Overwhelmingly positive response. I know Dr. Odom was able to attend that day, and they were so impressed that we had that kind of board support that they were just, even at follow-up meetings, they kept commenting on, that's so unusual. So we appreciate you taking your time to spend with us that morning. Part of the visit was a panel discussion at both campuses, and I've got just a short clip from the middle school teachers because I want you to hear from them how they were willing to share their learning cycle, but they're not done learning.
Yes, as Kim mentioned, it took us a while to get where we currently are. We started really kind of initially fine-tuning like the idea of the station rotation and getting good at that. Then we moved on to making sure that we were conferencing with the kids, and then we moved into developing really effective CFAs. Now, the small groups, of course, yes, and then now our next venture is really going to be like personalizing the reading block and developing teak spins so that reading block time is more personalized, because that's one thing that we really aren't implementing yet. So we have gone through sort of like that timeline, and it has taken us a few months on each one, but we're still always going back. You know, just yesterday afternoon, we were working on our next CFA and making sure that it has the right rigor and that the level of questioning is where it needs to be. So everything is always, again, we've got this figured out, but how can we improve it even more? So we're in a really good place as a team. I think we're really excited to work on personalizing the teak spins tomorrow and figuring out how we can make that happen for the kids to get them even more engaged and excited about the blended learning process.
So part of blended learning is about establishing that growth mindset in our students. But as you can tell, our teachers also have that growth mindset, and they're modeling that for our students. I can tell you that at this point, they've implemented the teak spin she was talking about trying to get done. They are now fully implementing, and they're now looking at the next step. So even though we're in March, getting ready to go into April and testing and end of year stuff, they're still looking at how can I improve. And that's not just this campus, that's all my blended learning teachers. My teachers are continuing to learn and grow. With COVID, we had to implement kind of in the dark. We couldn't see it in person in places, so we did everything virtually. This year was the first time they opened things back up, and we strategically put aside some of the grant funds to save for site visits, realizing that seeing it in action was critical for our teachers to really understand all the possibilities and see different perspectives of it. So to date, we have taken 53 teachers and administrators on 3 different site visits. We've taken elementary teachers and administrators to Harlingen and Weslaco, and then we've taken a group of middle school and high school teachers to Temple, and we are currently in the planning stages. I have 6 people going to Garland, 10 going to Garland and 6 going to Venus in April. So it's really a great opportunity for them to see and to tell you the power of seeing it. Oh, wait, stop! Can you stop that for me real quick? I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was going to play right away. This teacher, he's a new teacher, and he was one of those that went through the training and wasn't real clear on what implementation should look like, but did all the trainings and has been putting forth a valiant effort and has been doing great. He went with us to the Harlingen visit, and we got home from Harlingen at probably about 6 o'clock that night. And the next morning, and elementary starts at 7:30, the next morning I got a text message that said you need to come by his classroom. He had gone home that night. He had replicated things that he had seen, used the discussions we had had after our visit, and by 7:30 that morning was implementing things he had learned on that visit. So that just shows you the power of seeing it and how invested our teachers are in this.
Hello, my name is Stephen Morgan. I'm a second grade teacher at Frozen South Elementary. When I first started blended learning in my classroom this year, I didn't quite understand what I was supposed to be doing. I was trying to differentiate learning, I was trying to individualize everybody's lesson, and I just wasn't able to keep up. I still had a lot of unused time that I wasn't able to give to my students. I went through all of the trainings and didn't quite understand what I was supposed to be doing. Not until I visited Bowie Elementary in Harlingen was I able to actually understand what I was supposed to be doing. I took what I learned in Harlingen and I applied it to my classroom, and it's been working great. I have a lot of extra time. All of my lessons are differentiated and individualized. The students took it and ran with it. They understand everything that they're supposed to be doing. And I have so much extra time with small group and one-on-one instruction that I'm just in awe with how well everything's working. I really wish that I was able to visit Harlingen sooner, and I would have been able to implement this even faster.
And instead of just implementing it during the 90-minute reading block, he's actually doing all of his ELAR instruction in blended learning. So all of his instruction is being accomplished through small group instruction, where he's getting to work with students in one-on-one situations. Part of the grant is also using adaptive software to help students close their gaps in reading levels. So what adaptive software does is you take in a place when you first start, you take an assessment and it figures out where you're at. So I may be a second grade student, but I may be working at first grade. It's going to adjust and give me the material that I'm struggling with to help me close those gaps and get up to grade level. Likewise, if I'm a second grade student, but I'm working at third or fourth grade level, it will move me up to third or fourth grade. So I'm not being stuck at one grade level, but really being able to have my needs met wherever I am on that learning spectrum. At the elementaries, we use Lexia Core 5, where it's really skill-based, focusing on the foundational reading skills, the phonics, the phonemic awareness that we know are so critical to reading. When you get to middle school, we're still using Lexia, but their program is called Power Up, and it focuses on 3 strands. It focuses more on comprehension, word study, and grammar. But even though it focuses on those, if those middle school kids are missing elementary skills, it will still adapt and drop down to help teach them the skills that they're struggling and missing with. And then at high school, we use Reading Plus, which focuses on stamina, fluency, and comprehension. That program is available through sophomore and college level. So even our honor students who are college-bound, dual credit classes, they're getting to see material and text that it's at a college level reading level. So when we look at the data, this is for all students. This is South Elementary as of February 17th. So you can see from where they started to where they were as of the 17th, you can see there's some substantial growth in closing those gaps. In addition to the ones you see there, so currently we have 14% of students working at above grade level. That's not counting an additional 5% who are actually working in the middle school program because they have maxed out of the elementary program. Since the start of the 22-23 school year, 53% of students have advanced at least one grade level of material in the program. North Elementary is seeing the same kind of success. You'll see that they have 23% of students working above grade level, in addition to they have 5% also working at that middle school level on that middle school platform. They've also had 53% of students advance at least one grade level on material. So they're seeing the same kinds of success. That tells us that what we're doing is working. We're getting the kids the skills they need. Middle school, theirs looks a little bit different because of the way they report the skills. So they rate the student in all three areas. So I can be above or advanced level in one area, but intermediate or foundational in another. So it's not just one lumped score, but it really breaks it down on where I'm at on each of the three skills. Again, this is just representing the students' meeting usage, but you can see when students are meeting usage, they're seeing substantial growth. They are really moving. At the start of the year, 16% of students were working on some foundational skills, which means they were in that kinder to second grade level of skills. As of February 17th, 2% of them were working on foundational skills. So we really saw some movement in those kids. And overall, 33% of students in the program are meeting usage, and they define that as meeting the minutes requirement at least 50% of the time. Okay? High school looks a little bit different. So you see the top shows there's growth. Now, one thing I want to point out is this does not mean these kids are not readers. What this tells us is they are not efficient, fluent readers. They may not have the stamina for long silent reading. They may not do the close reads. They may not have the guided reads, the eye movements. It's more of those kind of skills. It's preparing them for that college level or that next level. So don't think that because we have a lot of reds and orange and yellows that means we've got a bunch of kids sitting up at the high school that can't read. That is not what that's telling us, and I want to be very clear about that. But you can see that they take 3 benchmarks. So this was the first semester of this year. They took a benchmark at the beginning of the year. Then at the end of the first quarter, they took another benchmark. And then right before they left at Christmas and got their new schedules, they took the 3rd benchmark. And again, if you look closely, you can see that there is growth and we are improving. When you break down the numbers down at the bottom, of the 1,200 students using the program, we assessed 1162. They gained 31 words per minute in their reading rate. And they improved 1.2 levels in their reading level. So again, doesn't mean that they can't read. It just means they're just not that what we would consider a good reader in terms of fast, efficient, close reads. So that's the update on where we are as of now. That takes us to next year. Next year it will be our final year. We will go ahead and implement in kinder, 5th, and 12th. But we're, again, like I said at the beginning, we are sharing those strategies across other contents because it aligns so nicely. That's our FISD learning experience. And it overlaps everything that we're doing. If you're implementing one, you're really implementing the other. So we're starting to use that common language and that common vocabulary to really give kids the individualized instruction that they need. That's it. Any questions for me, board?
So Mrs. Knight, what happens then, because this is great stuff, but what happens after we lose that grant or not get that in 24, 25? You know, what's the projection?
So currently what the grant is paying for is the software that we will have to find the cost of the software and then 50% of my salary. 50 to be very transparent, 50% of my salary currently comes from TEMA, the instructional materials allotment. Prior to the grant, I was split funded already, and so it will be just a matter of shifting things. I was previously funded between CTE and the TEMA funds. So those are the two main things. Everything else we've used grant funds for, we've made sure that it's things that are not reoccurring costs. Those are the only 2 reoccurring costs that come out of the grant. So we can sustain it with those 2 costs.
We know what to look forward to.
It is important because the purpose of the grant program is to get it implemented.
Right.
And it should become a part of our regular routine. This is just the way
Right.
we teach, the way we educate, the way we learn.
Right.
I will say that as an educator, I always knew there was something else out there that we needed, and people talked about it all the time. And whenever I came here and first heard about blended learning, I had a thought pop in my head about technology, and Ms. Knight was very quick to set me down and get me straight on what this process is. And I've seen it in action, and it's really impressive to see how our kids take ownership, it's new for the teachers because the teachers want to control everything, and they've got to turn some of that learning over to the kids so that the kids, and some of them are going to go faster and some of them aren't going to go quite as fast, and The teachers have to kind of relinquish a little bit of that control, so it's a learning curve for them as well. But it is a great program that I'm definitely excited to, I know, for Luke to be a part of as a parent. So thank you very much.
My kids love it. They talked about it, tell me how it works and stuff from the classrooms.
It was great to see the success at all ages. The middle schools had the largest gain, which was incredible.
Yes, sir.
That was great.
Yes, sir. And it's really because we're meeting the kids where they are.
Yeah.
We're not, you're not teaching to the middle and hoping that the ones that are below are going to catch up or grab it, get it somehow, but we're really able to target what they need where they're at and close those gaps.
And it's so key that our staff see, and we have those expectations for implementation, making sure that it's implemented.
And we're sharing the data with them so that they see if we trust the process, if we trust what we're doing, we will see the results. Because like Dr. Gilstrap said, sometimes it can be scary for that teacher to turn loose a bunch of 8-year-olds and say, go to work on. But I've been in classrooms and watched the transitions, and it happens beautifully. But those first steps are scary. You've got to get them trained, and those first steps are scary. And that's where we tell them, trust the process. Let's just take little steps and trust the process. We'll get you there. You just have to trust us.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is item number 5, action items. First action item is the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or discussions on the items on the consent agenda? All right.
Mr. President, I move to accept the consent agenda.
All right.
Second.
Mr. Rhoda makes the motion. Ms. Reed seconds it. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. All in favor, let it be known by raising your hand. One opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next action item is to consider approval of the district's Health and Wellness Committee recommended curriculum presented by Dr. Wade.
Couldn't see over that. Good evening, Dr. Odom, Dr. Gilstrap, and board members. As I have shared in your board brief, House Bill 1525 and Senate Bill 9 require that the health, I'm sorry.
Speak up.
I'm trying.
We had a fan come on back here. It's hard to hear now.
I'm sorry?
We had a fan come on back here.
Oh, okay.
Is that even on?
All right, I'll try louder. Woo, I'm screaming. House Bill 1525 and Senate Bill 9 require that the board pass a resolution to recommend the health and wellness curriculum, which the board adopted that resolution back in December. So the committee, the Health and Wellness Committee, formerly known as the SHAC, had 2 public meetings on January the 19th and on February 2nd. The recommendations from that committee are by grade band and are included in your board packet. And I actually emailed those to you, I think, on Tuesday, so in case you needed more time to review that. As a reminder, this particular instruction, parents must opt into. So previously it was an opt-out of process. So for example, we're going to send something out for at least 14 days before the schedule of the instruction. If a parent does not return, sign the Google form, their child will not participate in the instruction. Is that clear? It's an opt-in. It's not opt-out. So they must take action if they want their students to participate. Are there any questions about the committee's recommendations? And I do have a couple of members of the committee here, Ms. Donna Lynn, Ms. Heidi Camber. Anticipating a small population participating. But the committee was pretty vocal that they want to provide this opportunity for students, and we're going to try to market it as best we can.
And the state requires the opt-in.
Yes, the state requires the opt-in. Senate Bill 9.
Said that whenever it comes to health concerns and human sexuality, then it has to be an opt-in, not an opt-out.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, the administration recommends the board approve the Health and Wellness Committee curriculum recommendation as presented.
I move to accept the administration's recommendation. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion or questions? All right. All in favor, let me know by raising your hand. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now consider approval of the submission of grant application for the Floresville ISD Police Department Patrol Vehicle Replacement Project presented by Mr. Schroeder.
Good evening again, Dr. Odom, Dr. Gilstrap, Board of Trustees. The Floresville ISD Police Department is requesting permission to submit a grant application for a new police vehicle, either a 2023 or 2024 Chevrolet Tahoe. Currently, the police units we have are aging, and all but one has over 100,000 miles on them. The grant funds would be used to purchase the new police vehicle, along with all the emergency equipment and decals. This is a 100% funded grant that does not require matching funds. The application process requires the board adopt a resolution authorizing administration to apply for the funds. Attached is a copy of the resolution. I think I also attached our current vehicle fleet with year, model, and mileage. Board, are there any questions?
You don't want to keep the Black Crown Vic? For parts.
For parts.
Okay, hearing none, administration recommends the board approve the resolution for submission of grant application for the Floresville ISD Police Department Patrol Vehicle Replacement Project to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division as presented.
Do we have a motion to accept that? Yes, Mr.
I do.
Salva. And Ms. Reed seconds it. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor, let me know by raising your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Next item we will consider is approval of the TASB Policy Update 120 presented by Dr. Gilstrap.
So board members, TASB Policy Update 120 does include several legal policies. A brief summary of those has been provided in your packet. Those are not for board approval since they are legal, they are required. But we do have four local policies that we are recommending changes to. Back on Wednesday, February the 15th, the policy committee did review these and made no recommendations for changes. So they are presented as provided from TASB. Just to kind of, these are very minor things that are provided in this update. CKC Local talks about our at-risk management, emergency plans. It does include including a response to nearby railroad or train tracks, that doesn't apply to us. However, we do include that in our local policy. So that's that change. CRD Local talks about insurance and health and life insurance. That, since we are no longer using TRS, that is a policy change. It takes it out of our DOI. Our F&G local policy with regard to grievances, parent and student grievance process. That was a minor change as well regarding timelines, and then student discipline was the same thing. So these are some pretty minor updates whenever it comes to local. Be expecting some more robust changes after the legislative session. That's when TASB and their legal team will go through any type of some new laws. So be expecting later on in 2023, the calendar year, we will have a lot more local and legal updates that we'll have to take action on and consider after the legislative session. Does anybody have any questions? If not, the administration recommends the board approve the addition, revision, and deletion of local policies as recommended by TASB Policy Update 120 and the local policy committee as presented.
Good, we have a motion to approve. Craig Moots and then Mr. Clear. Any further discussion or questions? There are none. You approve the motion. Let me know by raising your hand. Anyone opposed? Motion is 4. Okay.
Sorry.
All right. 7-0. All right. The board will now convene into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, Personnel, and 551.089 Security at 7:34 p.m. No voting will take place in the closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The board will reconvene now in open session at 9:04 p.m. As we do so, we will now consider approval of action item number 7A, consider approval of administrative contracts. We have a motion that's made to consider and to approve those administrative contracts.
I make a motion that we approve, as discussed in executive session, the administrative personnel contracts.
Okay. Ms. Martinez and Mr. Charles seconds it. Any further question or discussion? Okay, all in favor, let it be known by raising your hand. Okay.
I
We have
abstain.
6 and Ms. Reed abstains. The last item on the agenda is approval of action item number 7B, consider approval of contract for the Early Childhood Center principal.
I make a motion that we approve the contract for early childhood center principal.
And I second that. Okay, any further discussion or questions? All in favor of accepting the approval of contract for the Early Childhood Center principal, that be known by raising your hand. Anyone opposed? That motion passes 7-0. All right, we've now concluded our agenda for this meeting. Is there any further business? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 9:06 p.m.